Hello, in this video we're going to take a look at the content in Unit 4, Activity 1. And since this is the first activity of the unit, just to give you an overview of this unit, we're going to focus on workplace and technical communication. And so we'll be looking at specifically writing, but we'll be looking at communication that goes on in the workplace, whether that be between coworkers or between an employer and an employee, or whether that's someone trying to apply for a job or to gather information about something in a professional environment. We'll look at a kind of a wide range of different communication that goes on, again, both in the workplace and I guess we could say in professional environments. Okay. And there's four terms that I want to emphasize right from the start here, because no matter what type of communication we look at, we're going to keep coming back to these four terms, and that's audience. The idea is you need to know the audience that you're writing to or that you're trying to communicate with. Purpose, you need to know the purpose of your communication. Structure, you need to understand the structure or the format that you're expected to use in that type of communication. And voice, so what type of voice or tone are you using when you're communicating? You'll find that each of the different types of communication we're going to look at in Unit 4 kind of have a different audience, purpose, structure, and voice. But we're going to keep coming back to these four terms. All right. With that said, the first type of business or technical communication that we're going to look at is letter writing. And I think letters are maybe the perfect place to start, because they're very traditional and they're sort of the classic form of workplace or technical communication. And I think the other types of writing that we'll look at maybe have kind of can relate back to letter writing as sort of its predecessor, I guess we could say. And there's three types of letters that we're going to look at in this activity. We're going to look at cover letters, inquiry letters, and complaint letters. And I think cover letters are probably the one that you might be most familiar with already. Many of you have probably written a cover letter before when you've applied for a job. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see, again, audience, purpose, structure, and voice. And it's going to look at the audience that you're usually targeting in a cover letter, the purpose, the structure that you would use in the letter, and the voice that you would use. So this is sort of an overview of how you would write a cover letter. And then we have an example of a cover letter, and it shows you the exact structure and how you would write one. If we move on, we've got inquiry letters. And an inquiry letter is one that you would write when you're requesting information, when you're trying to find information about something. So you might write it to a college or a university if you want to get information about a particular program. You could write it to a company if you have questions about something that goes on at that company or about the products or services that they sell. But an inquiry letter could be written for a number of different reasons. But you usually have to, or you always have to, identify the audience when you write an inquiry letter. You have to, of course, know the purpose. What type of information are you trying to gather? You need to follow a particular structure, and you need to use a particular voice. And you'll notice that formal and polite are usually two words that go with most letter writing. When you write just about any type of letter, you want to try to be formal and polite. And when we say formal, that usually means not using contractions and not using slang and trying to write in formal language. And then, of course, we've got another sample here. This is a sample of an inquiry letter. And actually, I noticed something that is incorrect in this inquiry letter right here. I just said you want to avoid contractions, and there's a contraction right here. Notice they say I am, which would be the correct form to use in a letter. You probably want to avoid I'm. Okay? All right, and then the last type of letter writing we'll look at is complaint letters. And a complaint letter is oftentimes the most entertaining letter here. It's when you're upset about something or you're concerned about something and you want to complain. So if you bought a product or used a company to provide you with some sort of service and you were not happy with that product or service, you would write a complaint letter complaining, right? There are other reasons why you could write a complaint letter, but that is maybe the most obvious. So as we've talked about, you need to know the audience that you're writing to. You need to know the purpose. So what exactly are you complaining about and what exactly was the problem? And then you have to follow a particular structure. And of course, you're going to use a proper voice, again, formal, polite. Usually when you're writing a complaint letter, you're going to be a bit firmer or a bit tougher when you're writing because you want to show that you're serious and that you that you want them to take your complaint seriously. But that said, you don't want to be rude or abusive in your language because you're probably not going to convince somebody to listen to you if you're being rude or if you're attacking them. And here is an example of a complaint letter. Now, something that you might have already thought about as we've been going over letter writing is, are letters really written that much in modern society? And in some places, letters are still very popular and still a very necessary form of communication. But in other places, we've moved on to formal emails more so than writing letters. And so what we've got in the consolidation here is a little explanation on how you can write formal emails, how sort of these different types of letters are now being presented often in email form. Okay, so you've got some detail here that explains how you can structure a proper formal email. So again, when we say formal emails, we're talking about when you send emails at work or when you send emails in a professional setting. Not when you're sending emails to your friends or family. If you want a little bit more detail on professional email writing, you can take a look at an article here called 16 Workplace Email Etiquette Rules for Communicating with Coworkers and Customers. And this is the article right here. Or you could take a look at this video called 10 Email Etiquette Tips, so how to write professional emails. And actually, I learned a couple of tips in this video and in this article that I hadn't really thought about, and I realized I was making a couple of mistakes when I write emails to my colleagues at work. And so I recommend this article and this video to kind of improve your email writing. With that said, that's the ending of the content. You can move on to the assignment. If you have any questions about the content on this page, please let me know.